So as I said in my other video, get ready for your opinions of some of the biggest celebrities in the world to change after watching this video. So since you guys liked our last top 10 video on celebrities that are mean in real life so much, we thought we'd make a part 2. And somehow I actually got even juicier stories for this one, if you can even believe that. Hey, what's up, IOers? It's Mackenzie here, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we make news stories every day and top 10s that are incredibly juicy. So subscribe to get your fill on all the latest drama. And without further ado, let's just get right into the exposing. So starting off, we have Pierce Brosnan. And this one is even more insane because the person that called him out for being rude is none other than James Corden. And if you watched the last video, you would know that James Corden is someone who's notoriously rude. So Pierce must have been awful if James thinks he's bad. Basically, on Corden's show, during his Spill Your Guts or Spill Your Guts segment, he had Khloe Kardashian on. And she asked Corden who's the rudest celebrity that he had ever met. And after a lot of debating, he blurted out Pierce Brosnan as he shoved him at a U2 concert. Corden said, quote, "Pierce Brosnan, I don't think he's a rude man, he just happened to be to me. I went to see U2 and was there with my friend Lewis and his wife and my wife, and Pierce Brosnan was with some friends, and they left halfway through the gig, and we left the space for them. And then they had been gone quite a long time, and Bono was like right there on this sort of big runway in the middle of the show. So me and my wife moved into this area, and literally I've never felt anything like it. This arm went on here and just pushed me out of the way, and I looked at him and he didn't even glance at me, and he just moved back into his area." So yeah, I guess Corden was really salty that Brosnan forcefully took his seat back. And on the one hand, I can see why Brosnan was a bit rude, as he probably thought Corden was like trying to steal his seat. But also, since Corden isn't a random person, Pierce definitely could have handled that better, like in interaction with a fellow celebrity. He also has this thing that I never heard of till now called a mean stars profile. And his rating is decent. So hey, this could have just maybe been a one-off. In at number 9, Rachael Ray. So Rachael Ray is actually one that a lot of you put in the comments of my first video. And after doing some research on her, man, does she have quite the mean streak. She reportedly has a short temper, and she once allegedly said, quote, "I need stupid people not to talk to me," to a member of her own staff. And she's been accused of every bad thing possible, it seems. From tipping food servers poorly to feuding with her mentor, Oprah Winfrey, and even fellow chef Martha Stewart. Unfortunately, she also has a ton of family drama as well that spills over into the tabloids. But I think the most telling indication that she is mean in real life is the fact that most of her fellow celebrity chefs openly do not like her. With Martha Stewart outing Ray, saying that she told Martha that she couldn't bake, with Martha taking a jab that Ray seems to be more of an entertainer than a teacher, like Martha is. And then the late Anthony Bourdain also had some shady things to say about Ray. Most notably was in a now deleted blog post, where he said, quote, "We know she can't cook. She shrewdly tells us so. So what is she selling us? Really, she's just selling us satisfaction. The smug reassurance that mediocrity is quite enough." Bourdain portrayed Ray as sort of an anti-Julia Child, who rather than enlightening aspiring home chefs and inspiring them to cook better food, quote, "uses her strange and terrible powers to narcotize her public." So yeah, if you make an enemy out of your colleagues, I'm guessing something's up. Then next up at number 8, Amy Schumer. So Amy Schumer is another person who's had some unsavory encounters with fans. One time that got a lot of press was in New York City, when an Upper West Side Equinox asked her to present her membership card, which is standard practice at the upscale fitness club, and she refused, claiming that since she was famous and everyone knew who she was, she didn't need to check in. One source told Page 6, quote, "She felt entitled to just walk in. She didn't want to show her key fob and just wanted to be able to go in and not be questioned." The source continued, quote, "It was clear that Amy just wanted to go in under the radar and not even stop to have the desk clerk look up her account on a computer," said the source. So yeah, this is just a classic case of a celebrity being super entitled. Really happy she was exposed here. Next up at number 7, Mike Myers. So Mike Myers does not seem to be as funny and chipper in real life as he generally portrays being on screen. And his Mean Stars profile shows that he's overwhelmingly mean. So clearly the interactions I'm going to be talking about below aren't the only bad ones that he's had. One user wrote a comment on his Mean Stars profile, and they said, quote, "I had a friend from out of state swinging through town, and we met in NYC for lunch and a couple of drinks. We are eating at the bar, and I see further down that Mike Myers is at the other end of the bar watching a soccer game on the television and drinking a beer. I had never encountered a celebrity before, and I didn't want to be some obtrusive a-hole. But prior to paying our tab, I walked over and said, quote, 'Hey Mike, I'm a big fan, can I buy you a beer?' And without even turning to look at me, he said, quote, 'I can afford my own drinks, a-hole. Save your money for my next movie.' I stood there speechless for a second and embarrassingly turned back to my spot at the bar. We paid our tab and split without saying a word. I felt like a dickhead, ha ha ha. So yeah, I'm definitely hoping I don't run into him in real life anytime soon. And at number 6, Dan Aykroyd. So Dan is another person who is not all they seem to be on screen, with an overwhelming consensus on his Mean Stars profile that he is mean in real life. He currently lives in a small suburb of Ontario, and a lot of the residents that live there tell stories about how he travels with a group of bodyguards that are notorious for being rude and intimidating. So this story is another one from his Mean Stars profile. The person said, quote, "My friends and I definitely had a few encounters with Dan Aykroyd in Kingston when we were studying at Queen's. One in particular was pretty hilarious. We were enjoying a post-bar snack at Pita Pit when Dan Aykroyd and his entourage cut in front of a large line of people. Dan ordered a few pitas and slapped down a $100 bill. When the cashier told him that they did not accept $100 or $50 bills, he became very enraged and yelled that he, quote, owned this town. He stormed out of the store swearing and making a scene. My friend jumped out of her seat, ran outside and yelled at him, quote, you lost your touch, Dan." Legendary. So yeah, I guess he's pretty two-faced and way different than his iconic Ghostbusters character. Really, really unfortunate to see. Next up at number 5, Kate Winslet. So Kate is another person who is well known for being rude off set. One notorious time that she got fans up in arms was when she ignored fans who stood out in the rain in hopes of meeting her while she was filming one of her movies called Labor Day. Fan and local resident Shanna Swan told Star magazine in the US, quote, "Kate was so rude. She never once acknowledged any of us. I was devastated." Then she added, quote, "She gave dirty looks to people in my town who waited hours to see her. Upon her arrival, everyone was yelling, 'Kate, we love you.' And you could hear everyone gasping with excitement when her black Cadillac pulled up." However, Shanna claimed that the whole town was left upset when the Oscar-winning actress wouldn't even look over to acknowledge them. And yeah, that's really upsetting, but in Kate's defense, if she was on set, she has a lot to be focused on. She has to be focused on her acting and all the other things she needs to be doing to get her character correct. So she might not have been trying to be rude, but she was just preoccupied with the task at hand. I don't know, what do you guys think of this one? Then in at number 4, Sandra Bullock. So Sandra can be thought of as one of America's sweethearts, especially after her iconic role in The Blind Side. But she's had a few experiences in real life that have caused fans to think twice about her. One time was when a disabled veteran allegedly asked her for an autograph. She then covered her face and hurled verbal abuse at the man. The man's wife, Denise Coates, told Star magazine in 2012 about a run-in with the actress while she was out with her husband, a veteran who was in a wheelchair. Sandra was in Boston filming The Heat, where she ran into the couple during a filming break. Denise said, quote, "Sandra was so rude. She covered her face and yelled. He just wanted an autograph, and she actually yelled at him." Now, we understand not having time to greet fans. We understand how annoying it probably is to be hounded by mobs. But a single wheelchair-bound veteran and his wife? In what world is their polite request for an autograph warrant a yelling match? So yeah, I get that she was busy, but to verbally accost some fans, especially if it was just him and his wife, like that's really disgusting. And at number 3, Adam Levine. So Adam Levine might not be all that shocking to some of you, considering that he doesn't exactly sport a nice guy persona on screen, but nonetheless, he's a person who a lot of fans think is rude in real life. One notorious time he was awful in real life was when allegedly a fan asked for his autograph, and he said back, quote, "I don't give autographs to ugly chicks." Wow. Then a lot of people have called him out for constantly feuding with his The Voice co-judges. He's well known for constantly spatting with Blake Shelton, but he's known to cross the line. Like one time when after a verbal tiff on the show, he mumbled under his breath, quote, "Sorry, I just hate him, that's all." But everyone still heard it, and it was really awkward. He also had beef with Christina Aguilera in the past while she was on the show. As well, he's very critical of Miley Cyrus during her time on the show, reportedly calling her, quote, "the most obnoxious person ever." He also allegedly threatened to quit the show because of his off-camera feuds with Miley. And my rule of thumb is that if one person is always fighting with other people, it's probably the common denominator, aka Adam here, that's the problem, not his fellow judges. But you guys can leave your thoughts in the comments below on that. Then at number 2, Jon Hamm. So this one is extra juicy because it involves one celebrity calling out another. In this case, Kathy Griffin called out Jon Hamm for being rude to her at a party. In her memoir, comedian Kathy Griffin shared a story about Jon Hamm confronting her at a party, asking her who invited her. He went on to make comments about her failed career and mocked her age. At the dinner, she was speaking with Jack Nicholson when Hamm said to her, quote, "What are you doing here?" And she replied, "I earned my seat at the table. What are you doing here?" Kathy said that Jon continued to get drunk as she was discussing Rupert Murdoch with Jack, where she continued saying, quote, "Hammy picks that moment to start whispering boozy yammering into my ear. First it was, you know your Emmy isn't a real Emmy." Kathy said she let that one go, but then he whispered, quote, "You're so old." And Kathy admitted it was not only the rude comments that pissed her off, but the fact that he was interrupting some precious alone time she was having with Nicholson. And wow, I don't know how he thought he could be rude to someone like Kathy Griffin and she wouldn't expose him. So yeah, really happy he got his karma here with her blasting him in that book. He definitely deserved it. And finally, taking the #1 spot, Catherine Zeta-Jones. So Catherine is taking the #1 spot because it's sad that she was rude, but it's even worse because she was allegedly rude to a child. As when an 8-year-old fan told Zeta-Jones that she wanted to be an actress like her, she was left completely devastated. The girl recalled the awkward moment years later when she said, quote, "She turned to me, looked me up and down and said, quote, 'You're pretty enough, I suppose.' Then went back to her conversation. I went from feeling at ease in the world to constantly thinking about how everyone was judging me on my appearance." Wow, yeah, I cannot blame this fan. The fact that Catherine was so harsh to this young fan is something that she should really never be forgiven for, in my opinion. But something else that made me second guess her was when in an interview, she revealed to the Mirror, quote, "I'm sick of being humble. I really am. So sorry I'm rich. So sorry I'm married to a movie star. So sorry I'm not bad looking." So yeah, it seems like being down to earth and grateful for her success is not her strong suit. Okay guys, so that's all for the video. Please leave a comment down below with all your thoughts on this. And again, spill any tea you have on any of the celebrities that I mentioned in the video in the comments down below. But before I go, I'm gonna shout out some comments from part 1. So Sarah Gray said, "The only negative interaction I've had with a celebrity was Jared Leto. He is so self-absorbed and egotistical that he's really unpleasant to have a conversation with. He may be handsome on the outside, but his personality in person makes him so unattractive." And he might be going into part 3 then, after you say that. Because I did see him on a few lists of meme celebrities, so you're definitely not the only person that's had a bad interaction with him. Then artist Kat said, "We can all sleep at night knowing Keanu Reeves is an angel and will never end up on a list like this." And yes, we can. Him and like Tom Hanks hopefully will always go down as just precious gems that we love, just true American sweethearts. Then Larry O said, "You don't even have to look up stories about Ellen to know she's mean. Her passive-aggressive attitude on screen is already telling. It made me sick to see her take so much joy in humiliating her staff on TV, and she goes the extra length. Not cool in my eyes, more like a bully in disguise." And agreed, once you watch her show again, after all this information's come out, it all really starts to make a lot more sense. Okay guys, well that is all for the video. Thank you so much for watching, and like and subscribe down below if you want to see more of our faces. We're doing our best to keep the videos coming through during all this. Lastly, check out our Instagrams if you want to see more of the team off screen. Mine's down below if you want to check it out. Thanks so much for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.